Hey guys, I'm Comire. This is Start and Select and...
Do a barrel roll!
Oh no. And I want to talk to you some more about Star Fox Zero's motion controls. Okay, second confession time. I regularly steal extra ketchup from McDonald's. I don't understand how electric bills work. Sometimes I wonder if people can read my mind, and I occasionally think the phrase, "I know you're listening," just to see if anyone reacts around me. Oh, and I think I've been drastically oversold to characters in Star Fox. Like I mentioned in part 1, this is my first time playing an official Star Fox game. I've grown up hearing the legacy of the game series and developed a huge respect for its characters and all their quirks. I got none of that from Star Fox Zero. Slippy didn't need constant saving, Falco wasn't overwhelmingly arrogant, Peppy wasn't always talking about my dead dad. I mean, Andros felt less like a megalomaniac dictator and just more like what happens if Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't shave for a month. I can suspend my disbelief enough to accept that animals are civilized beings in an unexplained Dragon Ball kind of a way, but I have no idea how Huckleberry Finn over here became the head of the military. He dresses like a telephone box and relies on 4 woodland creatures to do what his entire military can't. And despite being my mortal enemy, for some reason I appear to share the same comms frequency as Starwolf. Hey, Splatoon doesn't have voice chat, but I guess it's okay for me to get abuse from Professor Lupin and the gang of Sonic the Hedgehog rejects. But if there's anything quirkier than the characters, it's the control schemes for the several vehicles you'll be piloting throughout the game. There's the R-Wing, the Walker, the Landmaster, and the Gyro-Wing. Here's their controls. Well, comparing those might be as easy as actually playing Star Fox Zero itself, so how about I show it to you this way? Feel free to pause the video to get a longer look at this, but don't worry too much because it will show up again later on. The first thing to notice is each vehicle's use of the left analog stick. That's the main input for movement and where I'll be focusing this analysis. When in the Walker, Landmaster and Gyro-Wing, if you push up on the left analog stick, your vehicle moves forward. In the R-Wing, however, you're constantly moving forward by default, flying through space powered by little more than renewable energy sources and good old Norwegian electropop. So pushing up in the R-Wing tilts the nose of your ship up and its eternal momentum pushes you in that direction. So in one vehicle pushing up sends you forward, but in another vehicle pushing up sends you up. In other words, even though the controls just say steer, you're dealing with a change in axis from the XY axis, left, right, up and down, to the XZ axis, left, right, forward, back. Take into account that some of the levels swap back and forth between R-Wing and Walker, and suddenly we're dealing with a whole new meaning to the term flipping the bird. Let's look at the design of the levels and see what these vehicles are going up against. The R-Wing flies through space in all directions, taking shots from every angle like a naked woman on a Japanese game show. Its levels are shaped more like a bubble, with various enemies placed randomly inside it. Meanwhile, the Walker and Landmaster are land-based, with their level shaped more like a hallway and enemies placed in front of them. Yes, there's some verticality to their levels, but you can tell that's not the focus considering they have a limited boost meter to hover upwards, whereas the R-Wing can fly upwards indefinitely. Well, I guess since their level designs are different, that means their requirements are different, and ergo, the axis they prioritize can be different too, right? Well, what about the Gyro-Wing? You know, the answer to the question, what would it be like if the SHIELD helicarrier had a bay with a Tesco shopping bag? Moving the left analog stick in the Gyro-Wing moves it left, right, forwards and back in the XZ axis, just like the Walker and Landmaster. This is despite the fact that the Gyro-Wing's levels use bubbles and hallway, so it needs to cover all directions like a slower version of the R-Wing. When the Gyro-Wing needs to move up and down, instead of using the left analog stick like the R-Wing, it uses the right. So there you go. If the R-Wing piloted just like the Gyro-Wing, you wouldn't have that awkward shift in axis whenever you change to the Walker or Landmaster. Then the game would play less awkward than that time at school when I gave a Valentine's Day card to my substitute teacher. Well, in the words of Miss Campbell, there's more than one thing wrong with this. Look what happens when you push right on the left analog stick in the R-Wing. Now in the Walker, and the Landmaster, then the Gyro-Wing. They're all doing slightly different things, aren't they? Pushing left or right either points your vehicle in that direction, like in the R-Wing and Landmaster, or physically moves it that way while remaining facing forward, like in the Walker and Gyro-Wing. I failed my driving test 6 times because I kept on taking it at one of the worst driving test centres in the country, but if turning right and left in the Lilac system is this complicated, clearly there are worse places to go. I mean, look at the turning on the Walker and the Landmaster. They should play the most similar, but on one of them the left analog stick rotates while the right analog stick strafes, and on the other the opposite happens. It's a very slight difference, but can get super confusing during a level. So which vehicle has it right? I'll tell you. It's the Roadmaster. Yeah, surprising I know. You see, there's a 5th vehicle in Star Fox Zero that's restricted to the Challenges section. It's a 6-wheel Jeep that you get 5 minutes to play around with in a barren wasteland, or Milton Keynes as I like to call it. It handles like a dream and so fun to play around in. Turning left and right in the Roadmaster points you in that direction while your momentum carries you the right way. Like any normal racing game, just without an accelerator button. Here's that table again. And here's the ideal control scheme for all vehicles in Star Fox Zero. The left analog stick will move all vehicles forward, backwards, left and right in the XZ axis. The R-Wing's constant forward motion kinda messes up the system for everyone, so that would have to be dropped in the all range mode sections. It would also mean pushing down would result in a reversing R-Wing. Now, that may look strange, but this is a world where Droopy controls the military and his arch nemesis is Obi-Wan Kamunki. I think we can handle it. Ascending and descending would be up and down on the right analog stick like with the Gyro-Wing. In the Walker and Landmaster, up would be the hover control, because for the life of me I have no idea who thought holding down to go up made any sense. Where does the boost button go? On the unused L button. The other unnecessary strafes and rotate mechanics can be ditched and free up that right analog stick to be double tapped for some sweet barrel rolls. Now you might argue that making all the controls the same reduces the individuality of each vehicle, but I think they still retain their uniqueness through their specific levels and the properties of the vehicle themselves. Again, I genuinely did like playing Star Fox Zero, and I've got a lot of love for Nintendo and Platinum Games and what they did here. It just needs a tweak or two to stop it feeling like 2 foxes fighting over a dead sparrow. With practice, I really felt like I could get super high scores throughout the levels in the main campaign. I want to explore all the areas, finding all the medals and the alternate pathways. I want to take on some of the bosses over and over again, especially the 4-on-1 space fight against Starwolf. Although not that final boss fight. That was like getting a gun and breaking into a castle made of Swiss cheese to pacify a tantrum toddler. I mean, geez, would it hurt you to put a save point somewhere in there? Star Fox Zero is a gorgeous game, and it's a shame that some control issues have stopped it from becoming a star. And if you have any other ideas on what works, or more importantly what doesn't in Star Fox Zero, drop a comment down below. I mean, I was trying to think of mechanics in other games to try and compare it with when I was thinking of these episodes, but I couldn't really come up with anything. So if you have any other ideas, leave something down there, or send me a tweet. But for now, I've been Comire, this has been Start and Select, thank you, and good night. But this is a world where Droopy controls the military and his arch nemesis is Obi-Wan Kamunki. I think we can handle it. Oh, I mean, you have no idea how hard I worked to work in the phrase Obi-Wan Kamunki.